The sky over Seoul glimmered with artificial city lights when Jae-won Park first met Arya. She wasn't like any woman he had ever encountered. Her movements were precise. Her skin had a subtle, iridescent shimmer that changed colors when light touched her differently. Her species, from a distant planet called Novara, had been diplomatic visitors to Earth for the past decade. Jae-won worked as a cultural integration specialist at the International Extraterrestrial Relations Department. His job was to help alien species understand human behaviors and social norms. When Arya arrived for a diplomatic mission, something unexpected happened. Their professional interaction quickly transformed into something more personal. During their first conversations, Arya fascinated Jae-won with stories about Novaran civilization. Her planet operated on complex social structures where emotional connections were measured through intricate mathematical algorithms. Humans, by comparison, seemed chaotic and unpredictable to her species. Their relationship developed slowly. Arya was curious about human emotions, and Jae-won was intrigued by her logical yet compassionate approach to understanding different life forms. They started spending more time together, sharing meals, discussing cultural differences, and exploring the complexities of interspecies communication. Within a year, they became romantically involved. Their connection was unconventional but deep. Arya's biological system was compatible with human reproduction, a rare occurrence in galactic interactions. When they discovered she was pregnant, both were simultaneously excited and anxious. Their twins, Kai and Mira, were born with unique characteristics. Kai had his father's dark eyes but possessed subtle skin translucency from his mother's genetic structure. Mira had delicate silver-tinted hair and could change her skin tone based on emotional states, a Novaran genetic trait. For 2 years, they lived together in Jae-won's compact Seoul apartment. He learned Novaran parenting techniques, and Arya adapted to human emotional expressions. Their home became a microcosm of interspecies harmony, filled with love, curiosity, and unexpected challenges. But something was brewing beneath the surface. Arya became increasingly distant, making cryptic communication calls in her native language. Jae-won noticed her anxiety increasing, her movements more calculated. She would spend hours studying complex holographic documents that he couldn't understand. One cold winter morning, everything changed. Arya approached Jae-won with a resolve that scared him. Her eyes, normally warm and expressive, had turned into cold, calculating orbs. She explained that she needed to return to Novara with the children, citing complex political reasons that Jae-won couldn't fully comprehend. "Our children are not safe here," she said, her voice steady but filled with an underlying urgency. "The Novaran High Council has specific requirements for hybrid offspring. They must be integrated into our social systems before reaching certain developmental stages." Jae-won protested, but he knew challenging her would be futile. Novaran legal systems were intricate and rarely allowed human intervention in there. Diplomatic matters. Within hours, Arya had prepared everything. 2 small quantum-encrypted bags contained their children's essentials. The departure was swift. No dramatic goodbyes, no extended emotional scenes, just a quick embrace, a kiss on Jae-won's forehead, and then silence. Kai and Mira, too young to understand the complexity of their situation, looked back only once, their eyes a perfect blend of human warmth and Novaran mystery. As their interstellar transport vessel disappeared into the stratosphere, Jae-won stood motionless in their now empty apartment. Toys scattered around, half-eaten breakfast on the table, and a holographic family photo flickering on the wall. Constant reminders of a life suddenly vanished. The city outside continued its relentless rhythm. Skyscrapers stood tall. Vehicles moved through sophisticated transit systems, and life proceeded as if nothing extraordinary had happened. But for Jae-won, the world had fundamentally changed. He didn't know then that 3 years later, Arya would return. He couldn't predict the complex story that was about to unfold, a narrative of love, loss, understanding, and the extraordinary journey of a family that defied planetary boundaries. The years after Arya's departure transformed Jae-won into a different person. His small apartment in Seoul became both his sanctuary and his prison, Where once it echoed with children's laughter and alien conversations, now silence dominated every corner. Initially, the pain was unbearable. He would wake, upreaching from memories that felt like distant dreams. Photographs of Kai and Mira remained carefully arranged on his study wall, a memorial to a life that seemed more like a beautiful hallucination than reality. Seeking purpose became his survival strategy. Jae-won began documenting his experiences, with Arya creating comprehensive research about interspecies relationships. His personal trauma became academic expertise. Universities and research institutions started recognizing him as a leading expert in cross-planetary human-alien interactions. His counseling work focused on helping other humans who had experienced similar complex relationships. Support groups formed around his workshops, where individuals shared stories of love, loss, and cultural misunderstandings with extraterrestrial partners. Each story was unique, yet connected by threads of emotional complexity. The research center where he worked specialized in xenosocial studies. His colleagues respected his deep understanding, not just from academic perspectives, but from raw, personal experiences. He could explain nuanced cultural differences with an authenticity that traditional researchers lacked. Weekends were his most challenging time. While others enjoyed family gatherings, Jae-won would walk through Seoul's bustling streets observing families wondering about Kai and Mira. Were they safe? Were they happy? Did they remember him? Technology provided minimal comfort. Interplanetary communication remained restricted, especially with Novaran territories. The quantum-encrypted channels Arya once used were now completely silent. No messages, no updates, nothing that could hint at their whereabouts or well-being. His mother, concerned about his emotional state, would visit regularly. She brought home-cooked meals, tried matchmaking attempts, and offered quiet support. But Jae-won was emotionally unavailable, his heart still attached to a memory of a family that had vanished. Physical fitness became another coping mechanism. Morning martial arts training, evening meditation sessions, weekend hiking trips. These activities kept him grounded. His body became strong, his mind disciplined. The pain of loss transformed into structured resilience. Research became his true companion. He discovered fascinating patterns in interspecies relationships. Some were tragic, others surprisingly harmonious. His work suggested that human emotional adaptability was far more advanced than most scientific communities believed. Interesting cases started coming to him. Humans who had relationships with beings from different star systems, each story more complex than the last. Some had happy endings, others mirrored his own experience of sudden abandonment. One particular research project caught international attention. His comprehensive study on hybrid children's psychological development received global recognition. Scientific journals published his findings, highlighting the unique challenges faced by children born from different planetary origins. The research center promoted him to lead investigator. His personal experience became a professional strength. Where others saw complications, he saw opportunities for understanding. His team respected him not just as a researcher, but as someone who had lived through the very scenarios they studied. Financially stable, emotionally guarded, professionally successful, Jae-won had reconstructed his life. But beneath the calm exterior, a part of him remained waiting. Waiting for answers, waiting for closure, waiting for the possibility of seeing Kai and Mira again. His apartment, once a family space, now resembled a carefully organized research hub. Bookshelves filled with academic publications, walls covered with research diagrams, quantum communication devices strategically placed. Everything spoke of a man prepared for unexpected reconnections. Friends worried about his emotional isolation. Dating seemed impossible for him. How could someone compete with a memory of an extraordinary love that had transcended planetary boundaries? Jae-won remained politely distant, his heart seemingly locked in a moment from 3 years ago. As another winter approached Seoul, Jae-won continued his routine. Research, teaching, counseling, training. His life was structured, predictable, successful. Yet somewhere deep inside, a small flame of hope continued burning. A hope that one day his family might return. Little did he know that day was closer than he could ever imagine. The quantum communication device on J1's desk had remained silent for 3 years. Its intricate blue circuits, designed for interplanetary transmission, had become more of a decorative reminder than a functional tool. That changed on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. Seoul's Technology Research Center buzzed with typical activity. Researchers typed, machines hummed, and coffee machines worked overtime. J1 sat reviewing hybrid genetic research when the device suddenly pulsed with an unexpected frequency. Initial signals were weak, distorted, like a message struggling to break through massive communication barriers. The quantum encryption was distinctly Novarun, a pattern J1 would recognize anywhere. His hands trembled slightly as he adjusted the receiver. Arya's holographic image flickered, unstable and fragmented. Her appearance had changed. She looked older, more tired. Her usual precise movements seemed interrupted, almost desperate. Behind her, glimpses of an unfamiliar metallic environment suggested she was transmitting from a restricted location. J1, her voice crackled. Our children need you. I need your forgiveness. Those simple words carried complex emotional weight. Years of silence condensed into a momentary transmission that promised potential revelation. J1's professional training battled with personal emotion. Researcher versus abandoned father. The message contained encrypted data packets, geographical coordinates, medical records, educational documentation about Kai and Mira. Each fragment suggested a carefully planned communication, not a spontaneous emotional outburst. Preliminary scanning revealed critical information. Kai and Mira were experiencing physiological complications typical of interspecies hybrid children. Their unique genetic structure required specialized medical intervention that Novarun systems couldn't fully provide. Arya's transmission suggested significant political complications. Phrases about genetic council restrictions and planetary integration protocols hinted at broader systemic challenges. She wasn't just reaching out as a mother, but as someone navigating complex extraterrestrial bureaucratic structures. J1's research team became unexpectedly involved. His colleagues, familiar with his personal history, helped decode the transmission. Each revealed detail added complexity to an already intricate narrative about interspecies family dynamics. Medical scans of the children revealed fascinating genetic adaptations. Kai demonstrated enhanced neural connectivity, while Mira showed extraordinary metabolic flexibility. Their biological systems represented evolutionary potential that fascinated scientific communities. The transmission lasted precisely 7 minutes and 32 seconds before automatically terminating. No additional communication channel remained open, just those brief moments of connection, a quantum bridge between separated worlds. J1's emotional state became a mixture of professional curiosity and parental anxiety. Years of structured, emotional control started showing cracks. The researcher in him wanted systematic analysis. The father wanted immediate action. Institutional protocols demanded careful investigation. Before any personal decisions, the research center required comprehensive analysis of the transmission's authenticity, potential risks, and scientific implications. Late that night, surrounded by holographic data projections, J1 realized this transmission changed everything. It wasn't just a personal communication, it represented a potential breakthrough in understanding interspecies relationship dynamics. The quantum device continued its soft blue pulsing, almost like a living entity holding secrets. Its silence now felt different, not empty but pregnant with potential. Something fundamental had shifted in the universe of possibilities. Colleagues noticed changes in J1's demeanor. His usually calm professional approach now carried an underlying current of anticipation. Questions about the transmission were politely deflected, but his eyes betrayed inner emotional turbulence. Sleep became difficult. Memories of Kai and Mira's childhood merged with scientific diagrams and transmission data. Professional objectivity battled against parental emotions, an internal conflict that defined J1's unique existence. As dawn broke over Seoul, casting soft light through research center windows, Jae-won understood one thing clearly. His life was about to change dramatically. The unexpected transmission was just the beginning of a journey whose destination remained entirely unknown. The quantum device continued its soft, rhythmic pulsing, a technological heartbeat, holding untold stories, waiting to be understood. The Moi orbital transport vessel descended slowly over Seoul's advanced spaceport. Metallic surfaces gleamed under artificial sunlight, reflecting technological precision that seemed almost alien. Jae-won stood among official observers, his heart racing with anticipation. Arya emerged first, her movement calculated and controlled. Years had changed her. Subtle lines marked her face, her posture slightly less rigid. Behind her, Kai and Mira walked with a unique grace that blended human and Novaran characteristics. Kai, now 15, had grown into a tall young man with striking features. His skin carried a faint, translucent quality, shifting subtly with ambient temperature. Dark eyes, mirror images of Jae-won's, scanned the environment with calculated curiosity. Mira, slightly shorter, possessed an extraordinary ability to change skin tone based on emotional states. Her silver-tinged hair caught sunlight, creating momentary prismatic reflections. She moved with a dancer's precision, each step deliberate and controlled. Official protocols demanded careful processing. Diplomatic channels had been preparing for this moment for weeks. Jae-won's research center had submitted extensive documentation about the hybrid children's unique genetic structure. Security scanners worked overtime. Interplanetary travel required multiple clearance levels, especially for beings with complex genetic compositions. Kai and Mira moved through checkpoints like living data streams, efficient, quiet, slightly mysterious. Arya approached Jae-won with measured steps, no dramatic reunion, no tearful embrace, just a professional nod that carried years of unspoken complexity. Her eyes communicated volumes, apology, explanation, something deeper than words could express. They require specialized medical observation, Arya stated clinically. Novaran genetic councils have specific requirements that cannot be ignored. Jae-won understood the subtext. This wasn't just a family reunion, it was a carefully orchestrated diplomatic maneuver. Each movement, each word carried multiple layers of meaning. Kai stepped forward, breaking professional formalities. "Father," he said, the word sounding both familiar and strange. His voice carried a slight resonance that suggested advanced vocal capabilities. Mira remained slightly behind, observing. Her skin tone shifted between soft blues and grays, a visual representation of complex emotional states that human science was only beginning to understand. The research center had prepared specialized quarters, private medical facilities, advanced monitoring systems, cultural integration spaces, everything designed to support their unique biological requirements. Initial medical scans revealed fascinating data. Kai demonstrated enhanced neural connectivity that merged Novaran computational thinking with human emotional intelligence. Mira's metabolic systems showed extraordinary adaptive capabilities. Cultural differences became immediately apparent. Conversations were precise, information-driven, lacking typical emotional warmth. Yet underneath, a fragile connection remained. Genetic, ancestral, fundamentally unbreakable. Jae-won realized this reunion was more complicated than simple family reconciliation. Political systems, scientific research, genetic potential, everything converged in these two extraordinary beings. Arya provided minimal additional information. Her role seemed orchestrated, a diplomatic facilitator rather than a traditional maternal figure. Each statement calculated, each gesture representing larger systemic requirements. The children's educational records revealed extraordinary achievements. Advanced mathematical comprehension, multi-dimensional thinking processes, linguistic capabilities spanning multiple planetary communication systems. Seoul's scientific community watched with intense interest. These children represented more than a personal story. They were living examples of potential evolutionary pathways for interspecies interactions. As evening descended, the family, if one could call them that, settled into carefully prepared Living quarters. Conversations remained structured, information-driven, lacking typical emotional narratives. J1 understood one fundamental truth: everything had changed. This was not a traditional family reunion, but the beginning of something significantly more complex, a bridge between worlds, species, and potential futures. The quantum communication device continued its soft blue pulsing, a technological heartbeat holding untold stories waiting to be understood. The first week felt like a carefully choreographed dance of distant emotions. J1 watched Kai and Mira navigate their new environment with calculated precision. Each movement, each conversation seemed designed to maintain emotional distance while simultaneously seeking connection. Arya remained primarily in communication mode, coordinating diplomatic channels and medical assessments. Her presence felt more like a strategic coordinator than a traditional mother. She provided technical explanations about the children's genetic complexities, treating personal interactions as scientific demonstrations. Kai showed remarkable interest in J1's research work. He would spend hours reviewing complex xenosocial documents, asking questions that revealed extraordinary intellectual depth. His ability to process information surpassed typical human comprehension, blending Novaran computational thinking with human emotional intelligence. Mira remained more reserved. Her skin continued its fascinating color transformations, blues during analytical discussions, soft greens when experiencing curiosity, pale grays during moments of emotional uncertainty. She observed more than she participated, collecting information like a sophisticated biological recording device. Medical assessments revealed critical information. Their hybrid genetic structure required specialized care that neither human nor Novaran systems could fully understand. Cellular adaptations suggested evolutionary potentials that fascinated scientific communities worldwide. One evening, during a seemingly ordinary dinner, everything changed. Kai asked a simple question that carried profound emotional weight. "Why did you allow us to be separated?" The room became silent. Arya's usual clinical demeanor cracked slightly. J1 felt years of unspoken pain rising to the surface. Complex layers of cultural misunderstandings, planetary politics, and personal emotions converged in that single moment. Arya's explanation was both clinical and surprisingly vulnerable. Novaran social systems required hybrid children to undergo specialized integration processes. Political restrictions, genetic council regulations, and potential discrimination risks had driven her original decision. "We were protecting you," she explained, her voice carrying unusual emotional complexity. "Hybrid children represent potential evolutionary bridges. Our protection was necessary." J1 understood the broader context. His research had always suggested that interspecies relationships were more complicated than simple emotional narratives. This was living proof of those theoretical constructs. Mira, until now silent, began sharing her experiences. Growing up between two worlds had been challenging. Novaran educational systems treated her as a scientific experiment, while her genetic differences made complete integration impossible. "We felt disconnected," Mira said, her skin shifting between soft blues and greens, belonging everywhere yet nowhere completely. Cultural reconciliation became their primary journey. J1's expertise in xenosocial studies proved crucial. He helped them understand the emotional landscapes of both their genetic origins, human complexity and Novaran precision. Slowly, carefully, they began rebuilding connections, not through traditional emotional expressions, but through shared intellectual pursuits, careful observations, and mutual scientific curiosity. The research center became their primary interaction space. Colleagues watched with fascination as this unique family navigated their complex relationships. Kai and Mira represented more than personal stories. They were living examples of potential interspecies evolutionary pathways. Arya's role gradually transformed. From a clinical coordinator, she became a careful facilitator of family reconnection. Her diplomatic training now focused on personal relationship building, a skill she had never previously considered necessary. Weeks passed. Small moments of connection emerged. Shared meals became opportunities for knowledge exchange. Family discussions blended scientific analysis with subtle emotional explorations. Jaewon realized that redemption wasn't about dramatic emotional reunions. It was about understanding, patience, and recognizing the extraordinary potential within their unique genetic narrative. The city of Seoul continued its technological dance outside their windows. Skyscrapers reached toward future possibilities, much like Kai and Mira reached toward understanding their complex genetic heritage. As another evening descended, the family sat together, not traditionally close, but connected through something deeper than physical proximity. A quantum entanglement of genetic potential, scientific curiosity, and tentative emotional understanding. The quantum communication device continued its soft blue pulsing, a technological heartbeat holding their extraordinary story, waiting to be fully understood.